Alrighty, I'm going to be doing a head-to-toe assessment on this baby. Obviously, it's not a real baby, which allows for some things I'm just gonna have to verbalize, as well as I don't want this video to be 45 minutes. Especially when it comes to listening to things, I'm not going to be listening for the full minute or things of that nature, just so I'm not just sitting here in silence listening to something without a pulse. But yeah, so starting off, hand hygiene. I'm then going to grab some gloves. But yeah, just going to kind of go step by step through this. And again, there will be a lot of things I will be verbalizing, seeing as it is not a real baby. But yeah, righty. To start off here, I would view the baby's posture. Just look at the baby's posture, how it's moving, if it is moving. And a lot of these things I'll be doing simultaneously with observing the skin as well. But to start off, it's a lot more posture based. The ability to flex, this baby obviously not moving, but knees are flexed, arms are not, and not really able to. Which could be a negative sign if it was a living baby, the inability to flex or move as well. But that is what I would observe initially. As well, I would also do a skin test, not a test, but just observe the skin to see if there's any birthmarks, any bruising, any jaundice. Obviously, I can look through this for the sclera for jaundice, any cyanosis, see if there's a lack of oxygenation to the baby. But yeah, so starting off, obviously, I would observe, just really observe the skin of the baby. But now I'm going to feel on the baby's chest to find a point, just feel its pulse. Obviously, that's the goal, to find a pulse. Should have a pulse, and then find a point where the pulse is most present. I would then put on my stethoscope, and I am going to listen to the rhythm and the rate of the baby's pulse. I'm obviously not going to do this for the full time because the baby doesn't have it, but I want to listen for any murmurs, really just any issues with the sounds, just to be sure that they're okay. And now I'm going to look at the baby's breathing. Again, cannot really do that on the dummy, but just the depth of the baby's breaths, the respiratory rate of the baby, which can be whether there's any respiratory distress, like they're struggling, wheezing, which you'd hear more in the baby's cry. A lot of work, using a lot of intercostal muscles to try and breathe, showing any sort of struggle there. But see, just check the abdomen, of course. I am now going to listen to breath sounds, which I'm going to do kind of like, it's hard to describe, but like above the nipple line, obviously, to get both lungs, and then I'm going to go down the side, which I will do. I will go here. Listen for a second for breath sounds. And then go here. Listen for a second for breath sounds. I can move the baby's arm up, just not like that direction, but move it up like that. And I then turn the baby on its side, or at least a little bit. Listen to the breath sounds here. And same as with an adult, you want to do it equally on both sides so you can compare them on the side. Then go here on the lower side. Here as well on the lower side. So also pick up the baby and kind of go on the back. On that. Take that off. And then next I'm going to go to the abdomen. More of the GI part of it. Initially I'm going to kind of palpate. I'm going to be sure to go through all 4 quadrants. Be gentle, but at the same time with enough pressure to where if there is anything, I can feel it. If there's any obstruction, anything like that, I would then with the stethoscope again, go here, and I'm going to listen to all 4 quadrants for bowel sounds. So go here for the other side. Just check bowel sounds, of course, and then, as I said earlier, even though I was looking for any like posture or anything like that, I keep the baby's arms down. I'm also observing the skin the entire time. Just kind of checking, very similar to as we would for an adult. Obviously not too much difference there. But just seeing any birthmarks, scars, bruising, jaundice. I can also check the skin turgor, sign of dehydration. Hopefully there is no tenting, is the goal. But I mean, the baby, obviously each baby is different. And I would chart any abnormalities I find, any lanugo, anything like that, whether it's very present, just things of that nature. Very present to not very present. At this point I already checked for jaundice, and now I'm going to pull out the tape measure. It's a very small tape measure. I have one over here actually. Tape measure, and I am going to kind of go around the middle here. Kind of at like the maximum circumference, so kind of right around the eyebrow line, maybe a little above. Right. And that I'm going to do 3 times, but I'm also not just going to measure the head, I'm going to measure the chest, and then I'm going to measure the full length of the baby. So I'll put the arms back up just to make it a little easier. Kind of go here again. Go under, which I'll put the baby up just so I can get it under. But I would then go there and measure around. Get a measurement there. Now I'm going to get a different one of these because these things are not very sturdy. Got another one which is also ripped, but I can still, obviously if it rips I would get a different one, but every single one appears to be ripped right now. Here, I can go here, and I would now measure the head to toe length. So I would straighten out the baby's leg, which you cannot straighten. It's not a real baby. But I would go here and get a full body measurement of the baby. And again, I would measure around the head, right at that maximum point there. There, more. Sorry again, these do keep ripping. They ripped them multiple times. I've done this video and based on what I've heard for everyone else as well. And then moving on to the skull. A lot of these babies are gonna have these on for heat regulation. There would be a little warmer above them. I don't wanna freeze them out. Thermal regulation is really rough for them. But I would then palpate the fontanelles as well as the suture line. So you have kind of the mid suture. Don't wanna put too much pressure, as up to this point it's still not solid bone. Here, if you want to go to the side for the temporal, and then the lamproidal as well. And the fontanelles kind of more in the middle, just temporal fontanelles, some of the back as well, just where they're fusing together. And then I would assess the baby's face. Really just the eyes, kind of drawing lines from here to here, check evenness with the ears. I would also go through, and these don't really bend at all, but like with the ears, kind of pull it down, see if it goes back, assess the pin, all of those things with the ears, but this one doesn't seem to be doing that. And then again, this baby's not crying, which is obviously not how it's going to be in real life. The baby's going to be screaming and crying. But while they're doing their screaming and crying, I could look into their mouth, see if there's any issues with the mucous membrane at all, any S-team pearls, just really anything like that. I would also put my finger in their mouth and palpate the mouth, see if I feel anything, any abnormalities, anything of that nature. And then looking at the baby, I would also assess their nose in terms of symmetry, placement on their face, any possible deformities, congenital deformities as well. I will also, obviously this baby does not have as many skin folds. There are some on the arms here, but I would assess the skin folds on all parts of the baby. And then the lymph nodes, palpate the lymph nodes as well. I'm then going to turn the head side to side. Really, it is just assessing the skin and the symmetry and the shape of everything on them, just to be sure everything's looking right with the baby. And then some very rough deliveries could have fractures in the clavicle. You can kind of palpate, and also you should be able to see it, honestly, where it's a lot of bruising, whether there's something sticking upwards, hopefully not out of the skin. All right, I would like to apologize for this video being cut into 2 parts. This was not the intention or the goal. I went through the full head to toe, and then I went to end the video, and my phone had died part of the way through. So I am just going to start from where I left off, which is I already checked the clavicles for if they're symmetrical, if there's any breaks in them. And then I am now going to check the nipples. Obviously, same with the, as I've been doing with skin, I just want to be sure there's nothing wrong with them. Measure the size of them, of course, and then the area around it for any damage to the skin. Moving on, this baby, I can hold it up for you. Does not have an umbilical cord sticking out like it would on a real baby, but that's okay. I would check the umbilical cord, of course, if it were there, but again, just not quite available on this baby. I'm now going to check pulses. The 2 main pulses we get on these neonates would be the femoral, so I would go here, right kind of inside of the thigh, check that, and I would go under the arm, the brachial area. Alrighty, and then I am now going to check the genitalia, which this is a female baby. So I would look for a urethra and a vaginal canal. And I would then turn the baby over to see for any anal patency. Right word? I'll say yes. Pretty much just if there's a hole there. As we said in class, it's a matter of just being sure that there's a hole, all the holes that are needed. I'm now, while the baby's already turned over, just gonna check the spine, kind of palpate the spine, be sure there's no issues. Can go from the top of the neck with the C-spine all the way down. There's also these 2 dimples right on the back, kind of hard to see from that angle. 2 dimples right on the back, let me be sure those are there as well. And then while the baby is rolled over, you can also look for any hair of the rugae, and then just like skin, obviously checking skin, any, maybe not diaper rashes, but birthmarks, anything of that nature, whether it's an injury, rash, whether serious or not, just want to be sure you have it and chart it. I'm now going to look at the hips and the knees of this baby just to be sure they're symmetrical, which they do look symmetrical on this one, which I would hope so, little dummy. But you can kind of bend them. And while I'm here, I will go to another test where you can actually bend all the way up there, which this little dummy actually does pretty well. But yeah, be sure the knees are okay. I'm also, while I'm here, just gonna kind of feel around for, on the feet and the hands, and funny enough, count. Be sure the baby has 5 fingers on each hand and 5 toes on each foot. This baby does. And I can kind of, while I'm doing this, also kind of multitask here, and while I'm looking and feeling, I can kind of put pressure right in the middle. Should grab my hand, which is what this one is. And kind of test for just like the little palmar reflex, or the palm grasp, something like that. But yeah, and I did forget to mention this, on the back I would also look at the scapula of the baby, which I was already looking at the dimples and feeling of the spine, and while I palpate on the spine, I can also kind of palpate the scapula or the shoulder blade. Yeah, I should have, I'm gonna do it again just to be sure. I do not want to go through and miss this, but I'm going to listen to the lungs again, only because I cannot remember if I did it before the video cut out. So I'm going to go right here, kind of on the side, going to listen equally, go side to side to compare properly. Go there to there. And obviously, as it is not a real baby, not as much crying, or screaming, or breathing, of course. But yeah, I can hold the baby up, do a little step reflex where you kind of just put pressure here so it straightens the other leg out. I already did check everything else, and that was kind of just the other reflexes. So I would kind of go right on the foot here and rub all the way up, see if they're done with the toes, and then a little more reflex where you go here on the baby. Obviously, it's kind of hard to do on this one. But then drop it and see if the arms go out. I am going to combine the two videos. I'm going to rewatch them to be sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah. Thank you so much, and again, I do apologize for the videos being cut in half.